on a Thursday. Today we're going to be talking about a really, really interesting, important, and in fact vital subject, and that is calcification of the body, and that's directly related to the gravitational pull downwards and the levitational lift upwards. And if we're living sedentary lives on processed foods, hardly moving, we're going to have a much greater gravitational pull down with a propensity to decalcify much quicker than anybody else. So with that in mind, let's have a look and see how we're going to balance this body of ours and move into the future where we are agile, able to run up and down stairs, not having those creaky joints, stiffness, brain fog, lung problems, gut problems, organ problems, and move into a space where, as I say, we are at, in golden health, put it that way. And we have lots of testimonies, lots of case studies. You just have to look on the 365 Healthy by Choice webinar website and the YouTube, my YouTube channel as well. That's the Dr. Jane McKenzie channel. I think there's now something like over 400 educational videos. So that was when I last looked. And I really do spend a lot of time talking about calcification and how to avoid this. Those of you that watched last week would have heard about the acid-alkaline balance in our body and maintaining that, and the pH of our blood being 7.4 and the pH of spring water being 7.4 and the value of breathing and the importance of the kidney in balancing the acid-alkaline base. The reason I'm bringing that up now is because the acidity level in our body is going to determine calcification, as well as toxins and parasites and things which I'm going to go into. But your main takeaway from this is that you need to balance your alkaline levels and your oxygen levels. So everything boils down to that. I always say to the clients when we're doing quick scans and long scans, I'm looking for a body that's full of oxygen and alkaline. And then I want in that body lots of probiotics, lots of the microbiome reset, lots of the flaxseed oil, and a high protein content coming from the replica RNA DNA. And I was speaking to the owner of a couple of health shops today and reminding her that the replica RNA DNA has the 5 major building blocks for every single protein in the body. So you can literally take that blindly, knowing that you are inputting into your body the major amino acids that the body is going to take up and reconstruct within it to form the major proteins that it needs, the major amino acids. So then I think when we've got all of that sorted out, and the minerals, we will then be complete and we will be able to live for fun, eat for fun, and be in a lot of joy. So with that, let me open up the slides just to direct us through. We're going to be having a look at the natural way back to health. And I think, as with all of my presentations, they are holistic. So you can come in on any place, whether it's decalcification, whether it's detoxification of parasites, whether it's nutrition. We've got to get this whole body working together. And that was the reason for my brief introduction that I've just given you. So I'm Dr. Jane McKenzie. I'm a doctor in natural holistic quantum medicine. I'm a pharmacist, a natural pharmacist, and I've got various other qualifications, but that really puts it in a nutshell. My main process is the high-low quantum medicine compass, and the product range is the 365 Healthy by Choice range, based here in Bryanston, the 365 Healthy by Choice Healing Sanctuary, and we have a global online shop as well, and we use the quantum devices, the NQB, which is our latest quantum device. It's kind of like coming back from 100 years into the future. There's nothing like it on the planet. And this device and the software is really taking healing to another level. And we don't only do work on the physical side, we're doing neurological, emotional, and spiritual, and that is total holism. So let's move it. Let's get going and talk about calcification. When people talk about calcium levels, they immediately think about the bones. And when the bones are in trouble, it's generally long-term acidity, long-term problems, because the bones, cells in the bones take the longest to change and the longest to reform back to normal. So we know that by the time it gets to the bones, there's a lot of other organs that are troubled, systems in the body. So, from a definition of, we have abnormal calcium deposits in soft tissues. And I'm going to expand on that in a couple of slides down. So we're wanting to have a look at healthy and unhealthy calcium usage, because we need calcium, obviously. It's an alkaline mineral and important for so many processes in the body. And we need to know which sources to take. And the healthy calcium sources are going to be natural plant-based, of course, because that is our immediate diet. And then obviously, if you are taking some meat, there's going to be definitely calcium in that as well. So we have to look at natural and the food chain. Humans don't eat out of the ground. Therefore, the calcium and magnesium supplements that you end up taking are straight out of the ground. The calcium would be limestone. It's as cheap as anything. So if you're paying a load of money for your inorganic calcium, you better check it out, because that inorganic calcium straight from the ground, the limestone, the calcium carbonates, those kind of things are going to form calcium inside you that's unusable by the body. So it's got to get stored somewhere, normally on top of the bone. We need to use as I said, plant-based calcium, the things that you're finding in algae and those kind of foods. And then your everyday fruits and vegetables. Vegetables especially have a much higher mineral content than fruit. So just be very, very aware what you are throwing down your throat. We do have a super absorbing calcium, just to say, and that is in the inorganic form, but we mix it with live yogurt, and those cultures transform the calcium into organic calcium readily absorbed. In fact, they will do the work that the plant does. So when the plant absorbs the calcium from the soil, it transforms it into the organic form ready for human consumption. We also have very intelligent cultures in the yogurt and the kefir that do the same thing. How's that? So we've taken the very cheap, inexpensive calcium and we've made it organic and absorbable to do the right things. And the calcium levels in the bones shoot through, just to tell you. And that takes a long time, and we get it done quite quickly. I always do recommend that you measure your calcium levels, because when you take a single mineral, just remember that there's magnesium, potassium, and a whole lot of other trace minerals that all need to be in balance as well. And you can't keep hitting your body with one mineral. So that's why it's always better to go to food state. But you could use one or two of them for a month, maximum 2, just to bring up those levels, get the body into a reasonable homeostasis quickly. You're getting what I'm saying? So this is the very best way to do minerals if you want to get them into the organic form. For use by the human body. And visually you will find calcium deposits in arteries. So instead of the artery being nice and wide, as the calcium plaque deposits settle, the artery gets narrower and narrower, and that's plaque on the arteries. Joints, you often get the arthritis, and you'll get rheumatoid arthritis and stiffness and pain, and obviously, the knobs. The organs can calcify, like, for example, the lungs, where the lining calcifies and you can't absorb oxygen anymore. The gut, the same thing, you can't absorb your food. Kidneys will definitely calcify, kidney stones. The liver, the gallbladder stones, they will calcify as well. And in fact, excess calcium can come out in the skin as well and form deposits and irritation, rash on the skin. So, you know, it's all over. It also deposits, well, inside the cell, but that's not exactly visible. So we're seeing it in these places. Furthermore, we'll see it in the pineal gland, the pituitary, the hypothalamus, a very, very common place. And we see this weekly in the scan that we do. And the danger of that is that the brain calcifies. And I explain to people, it's like having coral growing in your brain. See, coral grows where there's no flow. So if you're not getting oxygen through to your brain and food and nourishment and blood flow, you're going to calcify. You're going to be acidic. You're going to calcify. There's not going to be enough oxygen. The parasites will come. The toxins will stay there. They won't be able to be moved. And that's going to be those people that get older, and it's, what did you say? I can't hear you, because the ears calcified, the sinuses are calcified, the eyes calcify, the brain calcifies, and they are the ones that will tend towards dementias, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, those kind of diseases. And the people that are on hormone replacement, so estrogen, progesterone, thyroid, insulin, adrenal hormones, adaptogenic herbs, having digestion problems, those hormones are not being released from the brain because it's calcified. So even if the message gets to the brain, the body wants some, it doesn't release it because it can't. It's blocked. So that's very, very important, I think, and nobody wants to end up like that. So we do decalcify, and it can take about from 1 to 3 months easily, but it absolutely works, and you can't believe how much better people feel. And at the same time, remember, when we're working holistically, you're dealing with every single cell in the body, and we're resetting it all. And I'll share some testimonies towards the end. So we don't want the pineal gland and the brain calcifying under any circumstances, because, of course, the memory is going to go as well. Prostate, so in men, apart from hyperplasia of cells changing, enlargement, we also see calcification. And we will then treat those cells in the same way and decalcify as soon as possible. And then, as I said, intercellularly as well. So we can't have an excess calcium inside the cell, because you're going to be interfering with the electrolyte balance at the cell membrane and interfering with that natural homeostasis there. So now, how are we going to reverse this naturally? Getting to the key points here. I've listed some products there that we use interchangeably, and depending on what needs to happen. So we'll get a typical case where somebody will call in and they're having a gallbladder liver attack, which is something very, very nasty, not something you would want to wish on anybody. You feel like you're dying, basically. And we've got to work quite quickly here to soften those stones and to make space and to remove the pain. The pain is a referred pain. You often feel indigestion, something that you ate. It's literally that kind of a feeling, but it's a referred pain from the gallbladder. You can also often have severe back pain, but mostly it's in the front here. So the Chanca-Piedra is known as stone breaker, and it softens the stones. It doesn't actually blast them. It will soften them. And anywhere you find them, and I've just used the liver gallbladder as an example, a kidney stone is also very, very, very sore. And honestly, with the Chanca-Piedra, within about 2 days, the kidney stone's no longer sore anymore. And even within a day with the gallbladder liver detox. We have got it on special right now. So I'll be telling you more towards the end, 15% off. You can look on the 365 Healthy by Choice website and get it now. So that's herbal, and it works amazingly well and quickly. So if we are in a problematic, very acute situation, we'll bring the Decalcify Flush in as well, which is a combination of MSM, lemon juice, bicarb, and ascorbic acid. And that mixture will also chip away at the calcification. I have in the past used it 3 times a day on somebody where the vessels were really rigid. So what happens when there's plaque on the vessels is the vessels, they can't contract and relax. So they can't balance your blood pressure. So those people with really stubborn high blood pressure, really low blood pressure, it's the same thing. After the years and years and years of plaque building up, years of acidity, the walls become rigid. And in fact, that's dangerous because they can split, and then all the contents can enter out interstitially inside the body. That's not good. So we want to get those vessels pliable as soon as possible so that they can work for us and balance that blood pressure. We've used it, as I said, the one client, we used it actually 3 times in one day, including the chunka piedra. We needed blood circulation to the brain quickly. The cell oxygen products that we have also are very important because they will detoxify and make us alkaline, as well as providing oxygen to the area, which is what is doing the detoxification. And then the body can take that up and start re-enlivening itself, bringing valuable oxygen to all the cells. And then clearing can happen as well. And that's why I'd always bring the microbiome reset and the flaxseed oil in at the same time, because we need the magic to happen. And when we've got that happening, the flaxseed oil is working at the cell membrane, at the double phospholipid layer. It's clearing the old fatty oil, and it's making new links within the cell membrane for the food and oxygen to enter and the wastes to come out. So it's very, very vital, critical. We've also got an alkaline replenish electrolyte and boron. That's got your main calcium, magnesium, potassium. We've got about 3 different forms, and energetic forms inside the replenish. The reason for boron is that boron will take the minerals, in particular calcium, and place it back in the bone. So it's very instrumental, and boron is missing in the soil and in the plants, the food we eat. So really, really useful, also very useful for brain. So that's our replenish. You can look at all of this on our 365 Healthy by Choice online shop and read about it. So very importantly, DMSO as well, dimethyl sulfoxide, because here we're getting a very deep penetration and a huge anti-inflammatory reaction, as well as pain reaction and reduction. So this one is instrumental in dissolving calcification. And I've got case studies on this. We've literally pushed it out of the joints. And I had gloves on, and I could feel the calcified crystals. If people do reflexology on you, they will also feel crystals in the foot. A bunion is basically calcification. It's not actually bone. And I know because we pushed the calcification out and the bunion went flat. So when I'm, giving examples I've seen. Another fabulous one would be, before I leave DMSO, that would be orally and topically. Okay, wonderful. Pain and inflammation reduces, honestly, within 4 minutes. I had a lady with calcification on her neck here yesterday. We put a few drops on here. You only need to apply it. You don't need to rub it. And honestly, she left almost singing because she hadn't had relief for so long. Tried everything. Diatomaceous earth, which is the diatoms in the seabed from sea animal planktons and things. And that will, apart from detoxifying you, also creates an alkaline environment. So the oxygen creates an alkaline environment. Breathing creates an alkaline environment. Diatomaceous earth will do that. Lemon juice, yes and no, because it will cause a nice, it will raise the acidity in the stomach, which is what we all want, and then it's alkaline in the body. So that's useful. But diatomaceous earth, we wouldn't use for more than a month, at the most 6 weeks, a year, literally. So please note that. But it has a wonderful effect, and the feedback I get from people, they just love it. So don't be tempted to take it for too long. And also price-wise, DMSO, diatomaceous earth, leading to the next one, magnesium malate, these are easily affordable and fantastic result quickly. Magnesium malate, important, we take that in the day. It's got lots of energy, brings in lots of energy. And the malic acid, will decalcify the body. Magic. We use it on all our serious degenerative clients and even our healthy clients. So there again, you're playing with calcium, magnesium, potassium. We've got potassium as well, potassium tartrate. And we'll bring it in for just a month where we need to suddenly make up a gap. So severe kidney loss, for example, we've got a lady with 12% function of the kidney, another man 22% function. There I'm going to use, depending on their readings, the potassium, and look at the magnesium in the cell. So we can titrate that quite nicely just for about that month. Remembering, that we're going to use the yogurt cultures to transform the calcium into the organic form. And now we're looking at some other important nutrients. And the vitamin K complete is something new, by the way. So we need to write new there. But anyway, it's K2, which is the MK7 version, which is the most absorbable. But I've also made it algae K1, 2, 3, and 4. And I've put in there spirulina and bladderwrack, because it's not only K2 that we need all of it. So this is a magic product that's giving you all the vitamin Ks. Magnesium, vitamin K, and vitamin D support decalcification in the body. They support the body's ability not to calcify. So I'm always going to bring those in severe cases, and then eventually the body will balance itself with the nutrients that I'm going to talk about. So the sunshine D, very important as well. Remembering as well that the microbiome reset will make vitamin K and D exactly in the way the body needs it. The body will make it using, the microbes make it especially for the body, sorry. So that's important. D3, you can get it from kelp. You can get it again from the medicinal mushrooms. You take medicinal mushrooms, the ergosterol, when you stand in the sun, transforms into vitamin D for you. So there's natural ways to do all this. We're going to look at it, what I'm looking at, an acute situation, and then a more of a long-term situation. We've also got the supercell oxygen there, which is going to, main ingredients would be cordyceps, ginseng, and these products will naturally, bee pollen, allow oxygen and encourage oxygen absorption, which is going to alkalinize the body, ultimately, which is going to prevent calcification. So we want to alkalinize that body and bring in the oxygen. Stop the accumulation of parasites, toxins, waste, environmental chemicals, and so on. If we don't become alkaline and full of oxygen, those parasites have a paradise. They can just multiply and do what they want. And there's certain parasites that live in the calcification. They're a mollusk type. So to try and get at them without using one of these decalcification agents is very difficult, because they just go into the shell. So we've got to decalcify. In fact, Chanca-Piedra will also kill parasites, just to tell you. So that's, these are the tools we use, the nutrients to naturally decalcify. And these are key nutrients in the 365 Healthier by Choice toolkit. Many of them I've designed, and many are available. So Let's move on. And there's just some more here, more detailed information for you. And, you know, K2 and D3, magnesium, they're all essential for bones. You can see here. So, you know, you've got to think of the bones all the time, and that's going to take a long time. In fact, sometimes bones can take 12 months to completely reshift, but they do. You see it every month, improvements. So we want to detox the body, restore the mineral balance, oxygenate the cells, reduce inflammation and the pain that goes with it. If there are any questions, let me know in the chat, please. So how are we going to use essential nutrients now, long-term sustainable, once we've removed everything, got the body into homeostasis to ward off the possibility of calcification and introduce mineral support, nutrient support to the body? So we would always, I think, use a maintenance dose of oxygen, a maintenance dose of DMSO. So every day I take 6 drops of oxygen and about half a teaspoon of DMSO, sometimes more. I don't actually measure. I give about 3 squirts in the morning and the evening. And I'm sorted. That's just wonderful. Bones, decalcification, energy. I'm not saying your doses for you would be the same as me, but just to tell you what I do. And the probiotic. The Ormus Gold is another essential nutrient, and I would definitely put it into any of the chronic cases to sort the chronic problem out, and definitely put it into a daily maintenance. So the detox, we've talked about those nutrients and clear those organs and systems. But then the nutrients where we're going to bring in big support here would be stress defense shield and the brain fuel, where there are over 30 nutrients in there, all on a very high frequency. None of them are equivalent to cheese or lettuce or tomatoes or meat, or that. They're much, much higher frequency. They are educating our bodies. And alkaline, obviously. The stem cells, the same. In there, we've got cordyceps, lion's mane, blue-green algae, royal jelly, and photo. And they're also in the brain fuel and the stress defense shield. Right? And then we can also do our algae mix, which has got the 3 algae, spirulina, chlorella, blue-green, the bee mix, royal jelly, pollen, propolis, the medicinal mushrooms. There's 6 in there. Stress adaptogens. There's about 5 in there. So why the stress adaptogens? Because stress makes us acidic. Stress will get the cortisol and adrenaline pumping, and they're highly acidic. So that's a nice all in there. You can see how we build the toolkit for the practitioners that are listening. And then we want to stay hydrated. So last week I talked about alkaline water and spring water. And those of you who've got alkaline water machines and all of that, I wouldn't go more than 1 glass a day, simply because that's not how our body's going to function. It's going to function on spring water with a pH 7.4, exactly natural. I always say go back to plant state, go back to the natural water state. And I also talked about, it's a little bit of a misnomer, the alkalinity of long-term alkalinity of alkaline water or any of these other fancy waters, because it's a short-term peak, and then you're back to normal again. So don't get overexcited about that. It does help, say maybe 1 glass a day, but I wouldn't do more than that. Your body needs to create the alkalinity inside at the cellular level with the minerals, with the oxygen, with your breathing. So the question here is, would this be useful to clear the acidity in the body? So Victoria, everything that I've told you here is about reducing the acidity in the body. This thing now I'm talking about now, the role of emotion, the holistic ancestral orientation process that we do, where we go and remove generational patterns. We clear the memory, we hand it back, and the person is free. So when we're born, the blood passes, the DNA passes, so do the molecules of emotion. And I refer you to Candace Pert, the molecules of emotion. And time and time again, in fact, every time, when we clear that stuck emotion and the person moves to freedom, the body returns to alkaline. So that constant nagging, that constant anger, the constant sadness, the constant fear, resentment, grief, jealousy makes us very acidic. So the root cause beyond the physical root cause is the emotional blockage, the emotional stuckness, the emotional calcification. If you say, because it's as hard as a rock, I say to people, you've got this rucksack of rocks on at your back of emotions that we need to dispense with. So once you do one, there are going to be more, obviously. I mean, I must have done about 70, 80 of these heart processes in my life. In fact, often, regularly, at least one a week or two a week. I do it on myself. The more people do it with me, the more they train themselves in order to do it themselves as well. So very, very important here to remove these stored toxic rocks, calcified rocks of emotion, and move from stuckness to freedom, so that the body can restore homeostasis, harmony, happiness, and alkalinity. So I'm always working with a closed circuit and making sure that everything that needs to be addressed is being addressed. And those of you that work with me know that you do this too. So a couple of the testimonials. As I said to you, many on the website and many on my YouTube, as much as will be allowed there. But I'm going to tell you about this one person. Obviously had some emotional blockages, was too fearful to go off the heart medication, but was happy to take the Chancapiedra, the kidney cleanse, the DMSO, the cell oxygen drops, the magnesium. So this particular client was about 87, about 87. And anyway, there was a caregiver, so all the dosages were given. And actually, this client was this is the story. So the client got an ulcer from the heart medication, even though they were taking all the decalcification things, because the client had huge bunions, bursitis, where you get a huge, big, fatty kind of a blob here, which is completely infected. And then when the client bumped it on the wall or wherever, the bursitis can burst, and then the calcification can start coming out. So this was happening in the client. As we moved along and as the client took more and more of the Chancapiedra kidney flush and stuff. Anyway, so this client got an ulcer from the heart medication and was rushed to hospital, kept in hospital. They stopped the bleeding, did an abdominal scope, punctured the abdominal wall, wheeled straight into theater for emergency operation, was warned that you might have a heart attack, did have a heart attack the next day. And then this is how this went. And eventually the kidneys started failing, went on to hemodialysis. Eventually, after 6 or 7 weeks, came out of hospital. I'm not going to give you all of it, but it was a gone and come back story. Anyway, and then I set about reversing the dialysis, which did happen successfully. But all the while, the client carried on taking the decalcification nutrients that I've just talked about and taking the normal nutrients like stress defense shield. But earlier in the day, this client had told me that the memory came back with stress defense shield. And they said to me, I can remember the name of that shop. It's been worrying me for I don't know how long, for nearly a year, and I remembered it. So this kind of thing. Anyway, so when we did the foot soaks, applied topical and took oral, these joints started leaking, and you could push the softened calcium out. a beige paste, very much like a hardened kidney stone or gallbladder stone. This client, when the first time when they started with me, was producing, and I've talked about this before, so you can go and find my old videos, like from 2020, 2021, was producing yellow, calcified, rubberized egg type balls. They were excreting these, and red ones. And when you cut the yellow one open, there was white stuff inside. So this is what was happening all along. This client was amazing. They were keeping and showing me everything. And we got this client to the point where the bones were normal. The client could walk and eventually passed peacefully about 2.5 years later. So that is a walking, talking, living client testimony. And there are many. But this is my most extreme. I've got others that come in with snake skin. I can't explain it to you. The skin is terrible. It's flaked, it's scaly, the body's swollen, the kidneys are generally in failure, and many of the other organs as well. And we restore that. So, and this other client now that I've just been talking about came to me with really deformed hands. And then I just saw these beautiful, sleek fingers and a beautiful, sleek body. So there's lots of hope. I really hope that I've painted some pictures here for you. And I know some of you sitting in today also have got your own case studies, personal case studies of, your own healing. We don't have to calcify. We must balance our levity and our gravity. And let me just see what else. Let me see what else I wanted to say to you. Right, it's just wonderful when you see the clients skipping up and down the stairs, and they show me, and they come jumping in, and they say, "Look, I can jump." That's just really beautiful. So just to remind you of the specials, it's going to be ending December the 9th, this Sunday. The Chunka Piedra is there, 15% off. Everything is 15% off on the sale. And all other decalcification products that I've mentioned are available that are on our shop. I'm just going to go back and get that list. You might be saying, well, where do I start? It depends how acute the situation is. Either of these are going to work. The decalcification flush I wouldn't use for more than a month, 6 weeks either. So sometimes I start people on do the month of decalcify, and then we go to the Chunka Piedra. Sometimes we do Chunka Piedra straight away. Oxygen you can't do without. DMSO you can't do without. These electrolytes are going to be working to restore the minerals in the body. Very important: calcium, magnesium, potassium. That's all natural, but we have them also individually. The super absorbing calcium I mentioned is not on the list, but look it up on the website. Super absorbing calcium, magnesium malate, potassium tartrate. The vitamin B complex is on the website. The Sunshine D is there. Supercell oxygen. That's especially if you've got lung problems. And the absorption of oxygen. That's not a good thing. So those you can go and find on the website. And I hope this has given you insight to a major problem that I have to detoxify within people, along with fat, along with protein buildup, along with parasites, along with toxins, along with emotions. When we get that right, there's just clean living for people. and they just start dispensing with emotions that they no longer want to hold anymore, and rather moving to joy and courage and happiness and harmony. So with that, I'm going to end, and we will see you next week.